Welcome to Distilled, where we bring you insights, intelligence, and innovation from the marketing community. Distilled is brought to you by international creative practice Distillery. I'm Steve Ween, CEO of Distillery, and today I'm distilling with Cath Millman. Cath is an ex-Googler. She's now Fractional Head of Content. She helps tech companies grow with smart strategy and smart storytelling. She's led global content and storytelling programs. She supported 400 brands, more than 400 brands across 18 countries. She's worked with brilliant teams to deliver award-winning campaigns. And I've had the pleasure of working with Cath on some of those campaigns. And Cath brings real insight and intelligence to everything that she does. She works smart, Cath works sharp, and she works soulful. A big welcome to you, Cath. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. And yeah, the feeling's mutual, Steve. I'm doing very well.
Amazing. How's the weather in Cardiff?
Surprisingly sunny. Not going to complain. You know how I like to talk about the weather.
Cath, I'd like to start the conversation with what's on everyone's mind. AI. AI is dominating search trends. It's dominating headlines in marketing. How are you cutting through the noise? How are you making space for more human, nuanced content?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere, right? It's pretty hard to ignore. And we're only just scratching the surface of what Gen AI and agentic technology can do. I think this is just the beginning, really. So, I mean, I personally always just stick to my core values and what I stand for and how I feel I would like to be spoken to as a customer or as a client. And I just think that's a great place to start, no matter what tool you're using or what you're bringing into your workflow. I think, take a step back and just think, okay, what is it we're trying to do here? What's our mission? What's our purpose? And get back to basics, really, because it's very tempting to just think, right, we can just scale more and just chuck more out there. You're just adding to noise. You're just adding to kind of the problematic elements of B2B marketing that are already there, and maybe just to stop and think and just, how can you remove some of the grunt work and actually make space so that everyone can think, because there's so much pressure to perform like 24/7, like get stuff out there throughout the calendar year and just go, and actually, like, rather than adding to that pressure, I think there is an opportunity here to claim back a bit of balance.
I'd love to know what role real life face-to-face stories and authentic narratives play in content strategies that are increasingly shaped by automation.
I think it's absolutely essential, and it should be part of everyone's strategy. I mean, if you're not thinking about customer references, even if it's just quotes and talking points and just adding voices that are from outside of your world, that's a miss in my view. B2B tech, like, it doesn't matter if your product is the fastest, it is the most secure, it is the most advanced. Ultimately, people will remember those pithy quotes, those off-the-cuff remarks, those real human elements of, this is what we were doing, but this is what we're enabled to do now. And that can really only come from decent case studies where people have really got under the skin of things and got to a point where they trust each other enough to be able to lift the hood a little bit and explain what went wrong sometimes, as well as what went right along the journey. Because this isn't, it's very rare that you're actually talking about something that's a switch and everything's wonderful from day one. You have to, this is a partnership that goes on for months, possibly years. So just to build that human element, and that, like, people are essentially putting their careers on the line, putting themselves out there and saying, like, this is the way I'm doing things, this is my vision, and this is, where we're going, and sticking their heads above the parapet. And I think that's a really valuable thing. If you can find your humans to tell that story, like, there's nothing that can match that, because otherwise you're just doing tit for tat, like finding data point after data point. And if you're anything like me, like, I don't remember that. I don't remember the story. I remember how they were feeling at the time and what was at risk and what went right for them. And that's what's going to move the needle.
Cath, I'd love to talk about the idea of, a customer reference machine, especially in the context of, the fast moving world of customer marketing. And, we were talking earlier about how this is, a fairly new discipline. What I'd like to know, what does it take to build a customer reference or a customer marketing machine? Especially one that's meaningful, not mechanical.
You definitely need it to become some sort of machine where things are automated and well oiled, and it's something that is invested in, because I think it very quickly snowballs into something that's just not possible for one brain to keep so many things retained in one brain is impossible, because it's very multifaceted. There's many different spokespeople both inside and outside the company that you're dealing with. It's a whole discipline of itself, and I think it should be highly valued in any marketing org. I'm biased obviously, but I think it's a skill and it needs investment and time. And I actually fell into it. I didn't early on. I just saw a problem that needed solving, and that was like the company I was at the time was moving from tactic to tactic, and was great with the customer in that moment, like wherever we were doing like the podcast or the event, but then like we do run on to the next project, and there was no one in the middle of it all thinking, what's the customer experience here? Like how are we putting our customers, are we standing in our customers' shoes right now? Like we know we'll probably want to engage with them in another 6 months. Like, is there a way to nurture these relationships, and also to, especially for like larger businesses, it's pretty smart to understand what their team looks like and who they're working with. Like the moment you start talking about DEI excellence, for example, it's pretty hard to do that if you only know the one person from each company or whoever. So it's great to really invest in those relationships, spend a lot of time learning and listening about them, and who are their movers and shakers, who are great speakers, who are just really passionate about this stuff and will tell the story in an interesting way. That takes time, and it's not something that is done easily. It's not an easy thing to do, unfortunately, but that's why we have people like you, Steve.
Cath, I'd like to bring the conversation back to AI and AI as a tool for empowerment. How do you think we shift the narrative from AI is coming for your job to AI can support your mission?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, when I was younger, trying to navigate the corporate world, and especially like being female, I'm sure others will have similar experiences and stories to this, but people always used to ask me to take the notes, and it used to really piss me off. Like, why do I have to take the notes? Like, we're all here, we're all capable, we're all using our pencils and pens, probably because it was a million years ago. And now I just think I use all these tools. Like, I'm taking notes now. Like, what if AI wants to take that job? They can have it. It can have it. Like, I want everyone in the room to be present, everyone to have an equal stake in what's being said in that meeting. Everyone has their own like backgrounds and stories and perspectives that are equally valued. And I think if we can use AI in smart ways to make sure, I don't know, I think there is an opportunity here to get a bit more equity for everyone, and to use AI in a mindful way. And I just think that's one of the many examples. It just feels like at the moment a lot of these tools are being used and utilized by a small group of people who are kind of the power users and are able to to use it and bend it to their will. And then you have the many people out there that would, I think, their day-to-day lives could be like improved. And by the way, they are already. Like, we've used AI in 20 ways already this morning without even realizing, like if like Google Maps changed your route, or like Spotify is like giving you a new playlist. Like, this technology is everywhere already. Like, the cat is out the bag. Like, how are you going to use it for your advantage to level things out a bit? I think I just see endless potential, and again, like approaching with caution and sensibility. I think I if they want to come for my job, which is taking notes and being demoted before everyone's eyes in a meeting, then that's fine with me.
Cath, as we were preparing for this discussion, we were talking about the tech industry's duty of care around AI, and you had a really nice analogy around seatbelts.
we are right to be cautious about AI. Like very, recently there's so many discussions all the time around, bias, copyrights, privacy issues. These are very valid conversations that we need to have and on an ongoing basis. But I think there is a duty of care from, the tech companies and the companies putting new apps and tools out there to, make sure they have the right people in the room from the very start to make sure this technology is for everyone. And yeah, I was complaining the other day because every time I get in the car, my seatbelt isn't right because I'm short, right? So I try and adjust it, but I can't actually get the seatbelt to get low enough. So the seatbelt's kind of doing this. And not every day, but sometimes I just think about it, especially when I'm getting a bit of road rage and just thinking that crash dummy was a guy. That was a 6-foot crash dummy. And I just think this isn't made for me. And it's so frustrating if I don't want other people to have that same feeling when they're using anything, whether it's in like the tech sphere or elsewhere.
So, Cath, I've got one last question for you, and it's a big one. I'd like for you to share what you think the future looks like with AI.
That is a big question, and one that we're trying to answer every day, right? And it can feel a little scary sometimes, but I'll leave you with this. Maybe this is just the optimism in me, but I genuinely feel that AI has the ability to just remove some of those day-to-day tasks and stuff that are getting in our way, to become the people, the humans, the creators, the inventors that we want to be. And I just think, like, if everyone is empowered with this stuff and can use it to remove some of these barriers, like, it's those human elements, it's that soulful, it's the soulful element, right, of yourself that will never be replaced, right? Because you're talking human to human, and your creative spark, your values, your like what's inside of you, that's what people value now. That's something that if you can lead, if you can inspire people, like if you can describe your ideas in an interesting way, like it's all these incongruous things, and that these skills like EQ that will guide us through. We will survive this, right? When I started out, we were, blue tacking bits of paper to the walls when we had a new version of the blog or whatever. It wasn't even a blog. We were having, we were doing magazines, right, and sticking bits of paper on the wall every time we had a new page. Like the jump is crazy, but like, we're all still doing our thing. We're all going to be fine. It's just, we need to look out for one another and be ourselves.
Cath, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic listening to all of your insights.
Thank you. It's been great fun.
I've dropped a link to Cath's LinkedIn below. Make sure you connect on LinkedIn and check out her page, Ground Media. I'll be back very shortly with another episode of Distilled. Thank you very much for joining us.